Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Link to Past Randomizer Spoiler Tournament. We have a round 4 match here in our Swiss settings between JamesFnX and thisisnotyoho. How's it going, folks? I am Wolfling0370. You can already tell I'm having a good night tonight, and I'm joined by Nihon Tiger. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good, Wolflink. Boy, we were looking through the spoiler log and having some discussion here.
Oh
Got
yeah.
2 minutes to go. Ooh, this will be if you got this regularly and you didn't have the spoiler log, you'd probably be pulling your hair out about as to say it. This is nasty seed.
Indeed. So, let's road here. JamesFnX defeated ALTTTPR 2 and 3. That is how they got to 1 and 2. Meanwhile, thisisnotyoho beat Anorax in week 1, but then lost to Kern and Rampant Revenant in weeks 2 and 3. And to give you guys just a brief overview here, why do we have a timers going on our screens here? This is a spoiler log race in which both runners and us up here in the booth have had access to the spoiler log for the last 15 minutes. They've been studying it thoroughly. They're about to put the finishing touches on their route. And basically, they're going to just execute their route and see how fast they can go through the seed. Now, I'm going to preface this with one thing here. Spoiler logs are actually very difficult races to do because you have to cut out a lot of the safeties. You're not going to just randomly find red mail and 10 hearts. No, you know where those are. You can opt to get them, or you can choose to save time and not get them. But in turn, that means you can die, and that means you can lose time. So, a very high risk, definitely a low percent environment we have here tonight.
Yeah, this is where it gets very interesting, is because you and your opponent have the exact same detail as far as like where things are. You have the spoiler log, you know where to look for things, but what's your routing choices? Where do you go first? What items do you choose to get? Is there a little bit of wiggle room where you can try to do one thing and maybe do it early and see if that helps out versus doing it later if it's an item that you need? We're going to see them make probably the same play here in about 5 seconds, so don't be too surprised. But yeah, there is a little bit of wiggle room in how we decide to go.
And it looks like thisisnotyoho did not reset his timer, which is unfortunate. And James, unfortunately,
he did the full reset on his timer.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Well, just subtract 15 minutes from Yoho's timer, and that's the accurate timer. We're gonna have to go on that.
Yeah. Well.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyways.
But I will.
Oh, go ahead.
I will also add one thing here, folks. This is not a normal randomizer race. Normally, our runners are completely blind to each other, their own little boot rooms, and that is because. Oh, I misread the spoiler log, actually. I thought that was somewhere else. Anyway, normally they're put in their own little booths, and they're not allowed to see each other's screens or watch the restream. They have to find these items on their own. But this is a spoiler log setting. They don't have to do that. In fact, they're allowed to come in here and watch us commentate, to see the other runners, and just see how far ahead or behind they are. And that in turn can let them do either some more riskier plays or opt to loosen up their routing a bit to get more safeties, depending on how comfortable they feel.
Yep, and just to kind of hint. One we thought they would make. We will see just a moment here on Yoho's side why exactly isn't James as well. Well, there's the hook shot. That was the item we were coming down into Blind's basement for. And there will be some more adventures here shortly. We're not quite done. We are actually pretty not done from Kakariko.
Both runners getting 3 bombs and along with 400 rubies and the ice rod as well. And also, one thing we should probably mention, folks, in regards to the ice rod, you can see that it is actually required this seed because our runners with the spoiler log also know what the pendants and crystals are immediately and what medallion they need for Mystery Mire and Turtle Rock. And that information is already provided to you by our tracker, Adior, I believe? Hopefully I pronounced that right.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
Flippers as well as Moon Pearl And a sword.
So yeah, that's Flipper's Moon Pearl Ice Shroud Sword. Very nice haul from the Kakariko well there. Always glad to see that. But again, not yet done with their Kakariko area checks. There's one more I believe we will see everybody go grab. Just a moment. It looks like Yoho's already heading down there.
James opting to pick up Ether, which is not a required medallion.
No, but there might be some utility reasons for that. Perhaps James is thinking about something in the future here. It's one of those interesting things. Depending on how comfortable you are with certain things, you may want to pick up Ether. Maybe if you think you need it for something, and for Yoho, you might just want to skip it and go straight to the maze race, where you can get yourself a sword.
That's the second sword too, so we already have Master Sword. Oh boy.
Yep. I think I know where Yoho is heading next. Gonna head to his house. Oh, almost want to check that chest. Didn't need to. Let's see. Yeah, gonna make the right turn here, and one of the things is that we know we're probably where they're heading, but we also don't want to spoil it for everybody and give everything away. So we're kind of seeing here if our intuition is correct on the routing choices, and we are seeing Yoho head up toward Eastern Palace here.
Interesting that that Yoho is heading over to Eastern Palace without the bow. But it looks like the hospital has something for us here, and it looks like it's just behind this house. You have to go to the woods for his item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that this is the play for Yoho, is to come up here and get
fire rod, piece of art, and the lamp.
The burning things.
Fire sources.
Yep. And it looks like James also thinking the same thing here. Let's see, where does Yoho go now? Thinking for a moment. I'm gonna go to the house, so let's see what do we have here.
To make. Heading up to the castle looks like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do we have here? Yep. We got the lamp, we've got the Master Sword, so that's all we need for Aga, and we'll see here. Yeah, we are seeing Yoho make the slight detour. Having a look at the spoiler log, I know what they're going for. It'll probably be, let's see, a quick break here. Yep. For this item, the magic cape.
Okay. I know this is spoiler log seed, but even if I hadn't read the spoiler log, my instinct is telling me this is an Aga seed.
Yeah.
Because we've got everything in like early sphere locations or going up there. It's very likely that maybe our glove or our hammer, or maybe both, are in Dark World this seed. We'll just have to wait and see, of course. And yeah, that is kind of a good thing that we don't have to hunt those rods down. Although, this is a spoiler log, it's not exactly hunting them down, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of also routing them in efficiently. And at least in this case, we got a bunch of other things that are going to be useful at the same time. So, we get lamp, flippers, moon pearl, sword, all at the same time. And
ladies and gentlemen,
James is going
to say that we have an Aga seed here if they're climbing the tower.
Yes, indeed. And James going to head to skip that cape, make up a little bit of the early time that was lost with the decision to start from the house.
Hang on, I need to see something here. Because I actually didn't make a note of where something was.
Let's see here. Both runners now going through, grabbing the keys out of the chests. Those are still going to be vanilla, because it's not key sanity, so we don't have to worry about the shuffle of the keys. They're both going to be here in the tower. And James getting through a little more efficiently so far.
Oh, jeez. I just had a thought, and I just realized just how true that thought is.
Uh-oh.
We were pretty railroaded into Agatham this early, weren't we?
Yeah. Kind of looking at everything, you don't really have much of a choice.
We'll have to wait and see just how railroaded we were. Well, folks, we do have a minigame we'd like to play.
Oh, are we
Might as well
talking
go ahead and
about?
talk about it now.
Yeah, we're talking about that one, right? The blue balls Aga.
That's right. So, folks, the runners are going to have the same RNG pattern for this, but Aga's still going to have a pattern here. But basically, he has 5 attacks he does, and they're all scripted. They're to go in a set order. His first attack will always be a non-reflective, or a reflectable orange shot. Sorry, I misspoke there. And his last attack is always going to be a lightning strike that he arcs downward across the room. Between those two attacks, he's going to shoot either another non-reflect. I keep saying non-reflectable, even though that's what we're after is the non-reflectable shots here for this game. But you can also shoot a reflectable shot again. There's the first one right there on Yoho's end. My words are just so hard tonight.
It's okay. We're approaching the Rando After Dark hour.
Of course we are.
Depending on where you live, it is actually after dark in some places. But I digress. Both runners. Now again, here's one on Yoho's side. So Yoho's going to be the one that's going to get the. We're going to get the idea of what the blue ball count is going to be.
Yep. It'll be 6 hits to defeat Aghanim in an unideal scenario, or ideal, depending on who you ask. Aghanim will throw 15 blue shots, and that is the most you can see if you don't miss an orange shot.
Looks like the answer is going to be 3.
Yeah, because Aghanim's shooting lightning, and his next attack is guaranteed to be reflectable. And that's not going to miss.
Yep, so shout out to Retro League in chat who did say 3. So you win the prize, which is a trip to the Dark World. And our next possible item.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's a good item to have, the bow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to open up a lot of things here.
Now, we do have to do
First-
Pendant or Palace of Darkness here. Why did I say Pendant? Ugh, my words are just all over the place tonight, it seems.
Yeah, and if you've noticed, since with the spoiler log, we've already kind of, at the bottom there, we don't have to check the map. We've pre-filled the pendant dungeons for you. They are Desert Palace, Skull Woods, which has the green pendant, and Misery Mire. Also
we also-
pre-filled that the requirement for both Mire and Turtle Rock is going to be Bombos.
That's right. And our 5-6 is Turtle Rock, and it looks to be Eastern Palace as well.
Yes, indeed. Of course, can use that hook shot. We're going to head on over to the Village of Outcasts.
Man, this has got to be like the worst sort of Dark World access you can have.
It's pretty rough. I mean, you've got hookshot. You don't have the hammer. You don't have mirror yet. You know, it's a little rough. And this is where we could see a
almost
little
feels
bit of
required. It's so bad.
yeah. I was gonna say this is where we could see a little bit of divergence, but it looks like both owners are thinking the exact same thing here on where they want to go next.
And it looks like Skull Woods. Nice hookshot on invincibility there. Yoho is getting keen, going straight to pinball room.
Yep.
Alright, and inside pinball room is the hammer.
Huh. It's almost like Yoho had some kind of clue
Had
that
some
there
kind
might
of
be
spoiler
something
log,
there.
you mean?
Yes, maybe.
So now we're
Still
entering Thieves Town.
going this way. I'm gonna take the slightly longer way around. It looks like make another. No, I'm just gonna actually just take the slightly longer way around to get to the same location. Yo-ho, going to the chess game. I'm gonna
Mirror.
pluck the magic mirror. Yeah.
Required item. We do need that to enter Swamp.
Yep. I was kind of hinting a little bit earlier at that our runners had a chance, depending on where they want, what they wanted to get first. They could have got that mirror first and then gone into Thieves Town if they wanted to, or they could have chosen to get the hammer first, then the mirror, and then Thieves Town. Both were certainly valid options.
I mean, you're right, but at the same time, if I was routing the seed, I would say Skullwoods first, because you don't want to go into Thieves Town without the hammer if you know where the hammer is. Especially
Right.
if there's something required in the big chest, which there might be, for all we know.
That's a possibility. Yeah, if there's something required in the big chest, you definitely would want to have that hammer, because obviously you can't get it otherwise.
So yeah, I like the routing here from both runners, starting with
Right.
Skullwoods. It also is a little bit cleaner in the overworld because that minimizes how much backtracking you do on the overworld map,
That's a good
which
point as
does
well.
need some time. And there's the flute right there. There's the. I just realized they didn't even have access to the mountain. That's how early that Aghanim access was, or how required it was even.
So Yoho's making a pretty quick and efficient route through here. And this is pretty tough for both of our runners. For the fact that they're going into Dark World, and I frequently mention this, but going into Dark World with 3 and 4 hearts respectively, no mail upgrades. Probably won't see any mail upgrades here unless someone's got one that's along the way, which they might pick up. Otherwise, you're probably, if you're confident in your skills, you may just try and pick up a couple hearts here and there and hope for the best in some of these tougher dungeons. But well, that was.
Now, there is something to note that both runners do have safeties. JamesFnX has the powder, of course.
Right.
Whereas Yoho has both the powder and the cape, which the cape can block, just completely make him invincible. Now, we do have to be careful of these buzzes here, these rat analogs here. They do 2 hearts of damage here in the Dark World, so that's enough to kill one of our runners here if they are low on health.
That was the thing I was kind of hinting at, is that the game is not. If you have an early Dark World and you've got a situation 3 or 4 hearts, no meal. Game doesn't play favorites and adjust down for you. These enemies, their damage tables are all calculated toward you having a lot more gear by the time you get to the Dark World than what you've got. So the game does not say, "Hey, I'm going to take it easy on you." It says, "I'm going to hit you just as hard as I normally would." So if you've got this early Dark World play, you've really got to be a little bit careful.
Oh, without a glove, we have to kill the enemies in this room.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. We don't normally get to see that.
Yeah, that's a little known fact, is that is actually a kill room to open the door to the side. Speaking of deaths...
Yeah, James is a little rough. Definitely that was not intentional death warp.
No, that is a big death. And we're getting the small key, so something is in fact in the big chest, so... That routing I was leading to earlier is definitely the right call.
Absolutely. That's the play you gotta make. Yoho taking a Zizek's fireball to the face. Not the other end okay, though.
And there's our boots.
Nice.
So all our mobility options were in Thieves Town.
Yeah. Well, everything except the glove, it looks like.
I'm sure we'll run to one eventually.
Yeah. You kind of have to, but... It just has not come up yet.
Now the question is, depending on where it is, do you safe warp to go to East Dark World faster, or East and South Dark World faster? Or do you just continue through the South Loop in case Stumpy has something? That's something kind of interesting to think about. Anyway, the blind fight here is a very difficult fight here, especially when you're on low health. Because of that! And that is very bad for Yo-Ho.
Yeah, that's the only positive I would say out of that is that, you know, if you get blind safely to the room to start the fight, it at least keeps blind spawned in there. The bad news is you're going to have different RNG when you go in there. You're not going to have the set RNG that comes in every single time when you go in there.
Yeah.
It makes it super easy once you know the pattern to get the kill. So we're going to see a little bit different of a fight here for Yo-Ho and James.
We commonly refer to this pattern as the script, and it basically, if you hit blind in the first possible instance every single time after bringing him into this room, he will move the same way, he will shoot the same way, and thus you will kill him pretty much without taking damage if you understand it well enough.
Yeah, but that
Yo-Ho
magic
with a great
cape.
recovery there with the cape.
Yeah, that magic cape really coming in handy here for Yo-Ho. It'll be interesting to see how James handles this fight without the cape. Opportunity to make up a little bit of that lost time in this dungeon. So certainly nobody is out of this race yet. Yo-Ho does have a bit of an advantage having made it through the first dungeon. You get the first crystal, so obviously you get the bird reawakened here.
Coming online for Yo-Ho now, and that does give access to the mountain, gives access to a lot of the overworld actually. And we'll see where Yo-Ho goes next. I would, after that death, be considering some safeties. Uh-oh, speaking of deaths.
Oh, no. Wow.
James barely surviving.
Yep. But that's good for James. First cycle, gets the kill, and is not going to have to worry about the time that, well, a little bit, but not so much. Made up some of the time that was lost earlier. And we're seeing Stumpy be bypassed here, so Stumpy, we don't even get to see if, you know, you're going to disappoint us. We already know. The spoiler log has told us he will probably disappoint us again.
Well, it might also just be a safety that Yo-Ho may not want.
Yep.
And speaking of safeties, heart containers in this case are a safety if they want to so choose to pick them up. And heart piece routing is fairly nice. Hello, Kana Samaria.
Yep. Nice find there. NPC in Hype Cave does have Candace Samaria and picking up an extra heart as well. Picking up the extra heart pieces to make that happen for Yo-Ho.
Yep. And that is something I've seen some runners do when they have a little extra time, is do a little bit of a heart piece route to sync up that fourth heart piece to get a full heal there. And I think that's what Yo-Ho did.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's smart play. You know, you can, because you know where the heart pieces are, you can pick up the ones that are already along the way without losing too much time. So we are seeing some divergence here. Yo-Ho's going to Swamp Palace. James is making the journey up to the top of the mountain here.
Oh, we'll see what runners have.
And there's a heart container up on top of Spectacle Rock, so
I
it's an
suspect
opportunity
that Yo-Ho
for
will pick that up later, because that is just a free heart container.
You might as well. I mean, you're there.
Indeed.
And James looks like he's going into Tower of Error, while Yo-Ho is going into Swamp Palace.
Swamp Palace makes sense. Tower Hera, we can kind of read into this a little bit here. Because they know the route, having it happen sooner rather than later tells us that there's something here that we need. Because ideally they would do Turtle Rock Mirror before Gainus Tower. There's a glove right there for Yo-Ho. So yeah, that was confirmed Aghanim for Dark World access right then and there. But yeah, ideal routing here for this sort of seed would have been Turtle Rock, Mirror Terra, take the portal back, Ganon's Tower. Because we're doing Hera now, tells us that there's something in here that prevents us from doing that.
I believe that would be absolutely correct. And going right on over to the big chest to get a small key.
I wouldn't be picking that up if it wasn't required.
Oh boy.
That tells me we got to make a trip downstairs after Waldorm here for James.
Yep.
Which means that we know, based on what you were saying there, Wolf, like we know there's probably a required item that's in the basement of Hera.
Yep. So there is definitely something here.
It also makes getting that
considering
lamp a
that
good play.
we can't. And here's my prediction with this, and this is based purely on what we didn't experience here. Because we're not saving Hera until after Turtle Rock, I'm saying it's our other glove. Which would be extremely rude, by the way, because that would mean Aga was hardlocking all of our Dark World access behind him, because all of our means to get to the mountain were also in Dark World.
Yeah. Have you ever seen James hop back in there? That could be a very, very wise guess, but we'll see. Probably, I would guess we probably will see them swap places here in just a moment. I wouldn't be shocked if James heads down the swamp and Yoho heads up the mountain. Because if it is glove, then we're not getting the Turtle Rock without it, so we're not going to be able to do Hera last. It's going to be TR last, probably, for both our runners in that case.
Yeah, and Chad's bringing up that there could be also the medallion, which is also potentially true.
Mm-hmm.
Could also be... Now that's actually really it. We have access to finish the other dungeon, so it's really either the Bombos medallion or the Titan's Mid at this point. Which would be James's power glove at this current stage.
Yep.
So as we're could be safety, but no, it is in fact our other glove.
Yep.
Disgusting.
Getting that mirror. Yep, and heading on out. Well.
And there's Tempered Sword on Argus. All right, that's good to find.
Yeah, that's gonna be helpful here.
I'm gonna say this much: if that was the safety that James was going for, I probably would question that, because that is a huge time investment for something that is going to just help you make sure you don't die. In my honest opinion, that would be too much of a time waste, actually. So it had to be something required. Rarely you're going to go out of your way to go over to say hello to Catfish just for the cape, unless you were desperate and needed it. And that was a 30-second auto-scroller. And if that was not something required, yeah, that would not be an ideal scenario to be in. Especially if you're watching the restream and you know you're a little behind.
Yeah, the routing is pretty good here from Yoho. It looks like James will be heading up to go to Pod as well. Maybe we'll see the mirror over into Eastern Palace play that Yoho is making at the same time. Do a 2-for-1 here. Certainly would be efficient, given that both are crystal dungeons, both need to be completed. May as well set the whole thing up.
Yep. Yoho was opting to do Eastern first, though. Could mean there's something in here we need.
Maybe. Or maybe just thinking that it's easier, quicker. Complete, may as well do that first.
Be in here like a heart container or something. That's just on the
That could
way. Or the gold sword, that works too.
Yeah, it's not bad. Didn't necessarily need it, but you're not going to say no to it, I'm sure. And that also means that James probably will also have gold sword.
So James will be untempered because James has not bought Argus for the
Right.
for the other sword.
Right, I should have clarified more. Eventually, he'll have both. He's only going to have tempered for now, though.
Yeah, but tempered is still all right.
Yes. That's still pretty good. My feeling is if they're looking at getting gold sword, they're probably already starting to think that this is going to be a silverless play overall here for the Gan fight.
Silverless Gan in this stage is kind of... Yeah, that's going to be kind of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that's kind of my thought here. You're probably not going to go for that sword, go out of your way to get that sword upgrade for any other reason than, silvers are in a place that's inconvenient for you to route in. Of course, if you're far enough ahead and you know where silvers are, you know you can get to them and still get to GT before your opponent is, and you really want to be a jerk about it, maybe you go ahead and do it. We'll see.
Well, if it's a close race, silvers might make a difference.
That's true too. Makes the last bit of GT, not to mention some of these bosses, a little bit easier.
And not to mention the Ganon fight, it shaves easily 90 seconds on its own.
Oh yeah. So I guess really it'll depend a lot on where you're at, and if you feel like you're going to gain enough time for going to get wherever they're at.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to just mention this as a theoretical here.
As we get the boomerang.
The silvers are in Dark World, because we defeated Aghanim and we have the mirror, the runners could potentially maybe opt to go pick them up, do a save quit, and thus, because they're in the Dark World with the mirror, with Aghanim defeated, that puts them on top of the pyramid.
Ooh.
So that is an option if that is the case.
Wolflink, that is a spicy idea I did not consider, but that is potentially very nice and very efficient routing if you can get to those those silvers relatively quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Are the silvers worth going to pick up and doing that strat?
Right, and that's going to depend a lot on where you're at compared to your opponent.
While we've been talking here, we just watched the Armos Knights get absolutely destroyed by both our runners.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, and both of them, of course, as I mentioned, getting the boomerang for their Armos Knight fighting prowess. And they're both going to go ahead and go into Palace of Darkness here. Again, we've got to go all the way to the basement. Having the lamp will make this a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about the really, really bad room, which is the... oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart here. The turtle room. Terrapin. That's the word I was trying to think of. No, I knew it was a pun on Terrapin.
Meanwhile, I do see that we do have at least one of our runners here in chat.
Yep, James is saying hello.
And there's our Bombos Medallion.
Bombos. Yep.
So, the runners are about a minute apart right now, and that is actually pretty... This is actually a pretty close race, all things considering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, there was the death from James, but at the same time, that would have just... If that didn't happen, this race would just be super tight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're still, Yoho still has a bit of an advantage, but James not far behind. Can certainly make up the time here. We already did see, in fact, that there was a point earlier where James was a little bit further behind, and through some execution in Castle Tower did kind of pull back Yoho's the small little bit of gap that Yoho had there, and actually pulled into a little bit of a lead, and it kind of went back and forth for a bit.
And also keep in mind, folks, that we're not on a true back-to-back route here. We do have the fact that James has defeated Moldorm, whereas Yoho has defeated Argus. Those two still have to fight the other boss to get the other glove from the dungeon.
Right.
And thus, because of access to Ice and Turtle Rock.
Mhm.
Which actually puts us in a no mode now to think about it.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about this too is that James will probably have the glove first, but Yoho is gonna be able to walk straight out of Hera and go over to the Turtle Rock area and go over to the portal and do that a little bit quicker. Won't have to make that second climb up the mountain. If the plan is to do Hera first. Actually, you know what? They are going to need to go into Ice Palace as well. So they will... Yeah, it depends on how they route these dungeons, really, I guess, what their choice is. But they will need that glove before they can do Ice Palace and Turtle Rock.
And James still needs the Canis of Maria, which we know that is in Hype Cave. Meanwhile, just Yoho just smashing the mask off. 2 strikes. That's it. Gold Sword absolutely shreds the early Dark World bosses.
Oh, yeah. Again, that's one of the... remember we talked about the disadvantage here with the hearts? This is one of the advantages, is when you get overgeared like this, these early bosses just melt because they're programmed for you having lower gear. And I think he's got it. I think we just didn't get I think the tracker just ate the input. Because I believe we saw both of them go into Hype Cave. So he should have Canis Maria.
I'm sure there'll be some menuing a little bit later. And it looks like Yoho is now making the ascent up to Hera. So the routes are converging a little bit here, and I think James is... Well, James is behind.
Right.
But Yoho is definitely looking to be a lot further ahead than we initially thought. Anyway, down goes Helverzor King there. 1 heart left again.
James really living that 1 heart life, but pulling it off, making it look looks really good. So yeah, I think if we see James go to we see James make the play that we think he might make here.
There it is, the Canis of Maria there. So yeah, James does have it.
Yep. Yeah, if we see him make, we'll see where he flutes off to here. He's going to Link's house. So yeah, I think he's going to make the play that we thought he would make here. We'll be able to see pretty much once they've completed both these dungeons where our runners are sitting at, as far as what the real gap is going to be, because they'll have completed both dungeons here. We're seeing Yoho try for the air pot. There we go.
Nice.
Trying the bombless setup with the hook shot. It's a nice one you can get if you use that the hook speed there on the tiny little stairs to set that up. It's actually kind of I think it's the cleanest one if you can get it on the first try, but it can be a little bit fussy sometimes.
Alright, so the routes will converge, and I believe Ice Palace will be the dungeon they will choose to go in first. Because, simply put, it makes sense to leave Turtle Rock for last.
Right. That's gonna be the play, you know. Go to Ice Palace, do Turtle Rock, go into GT. Oh no!
That is a bad fall to take from Yoho. That goes down 2 floors.
Right, yeah, Yoho getting checked. He gets sent to the penalty box by Moldorm. Not even checked into the boards that time. Just 2 minutes for, it's gonna be actually a 4-minute major for slashing there.
You with your hockey terms. I wouldn't follow that at all. But that is a significant time loss. I think that it doesn't quite make up the depth in Thieves Town, but that definitely closes the gap significantly.
Yeah, it's going to be helpful for James here if he can get this done efficiently. And really probably don't see a reason why he can't be able to clear this out pretty quickly now that he's got the second glove. So that's going to be straight to the... We saw this from Yoho earlier. Going to be straight run to the back here once we've got the water platform raised here.
Also have Yoho in chat, as I'm noticing as well.
Yep. Have a question about what's happened with James's timer. Well, we had a very interesting start here where Yoho, since our runners start with the extra 15 minutes, Yoho is actually 15 minutes ahead, and James accidentally reset his timer all the way to the start. So we're really only about 38 minutes into the seed here. 53 if you include the spoiler log 15-minute time, which we do for SRL bookkeeping records. Is considered part of the race time.
James opted to pick up a bottle for a safety. Not a bad location for it either. But yeah, folks, Yoho's time, just subtract 15 minutes and you'll have the actual race time here. It's unfortunate that we had this sort of thing happen, but it happens sometimes. It's not easy to remember when you have the spoiler log settings, because the race technically starts with a 15-minute study period.
Yep. And we're seeing James use the cane here to kind of set up the diver down. Having a little bit of rough time there on the first one. Not quite getting it a second time either.
I've never seen this before. I've never seen super speed in this room.
This is super entertaining. Thank you, bless you, Yoho, for showing us this.
Yes, I
feel
was
like
not aware
like
this was a thing.
Yeah,
Well
it's
done.
hilarious.
I didn't even know it was possible.
This is just tremendous amounts of swag. And it looks like James, I think, is just going to go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way here. Just kind of skip the diver down. Try not to lose any more time you might have lost already on trying to set it up. And then Yoho picking up the glove. Going to dip out of Hera now.
And so we can accurately mark Yoho's lead here with 55:10 on his timer, currently leaving Hera with everything that James has.
Mm-hmm.
So the runners will be synced up when Argus falls here in just a moment, so we can get a more accurate time reading here.
Yeah, we can also, if you also want to time it on your own, you can also use the entry into Ice Palace here, which will be 55:36 for Yoho. Oh, so to explain what the diver down glitch is there, that's a newer glitch. What happens is it's a way to kind of manipulate the game to think that you're on a different layer than you are, so that you don't splash into the water. You just end up making it seem like it's not there.
Yeah. In NMG, which is the non-randomized games speedrun, that glitch is actually not allowed, but our racing council has approved it for use in randomizer races, as a note.
Yes. So we probably will see actually a similar glitch here from Yoho, also using Candace Maria to push you through a block and change things. This is Icebreaker glitch. So we're seeing, there we go, right there. First try from Yoho, beautifully done.
Right.
So what that does is basically there's a little bit of a tiny pixel barrier in that door for the transition, and what you're doing is you're kind of slowly. You would have seen Yoho do it. Would have slowly inched over that barrier area bit by bit by bit till it was practically right in the wall, and then he uses the block from the cane when he sets it down and pushes it into the right position to push him through the wall. The wall thinks it's still in the door, and it pushes you straight through the wall.
In terms of how recent they are, they were implemented in the league, I believe.
Yes.
Two or three the league they have in a couple months back.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not
So they're
like brand new, but they are
relatively
still
new.
relatively new.
Yeah,
So yes.
they're relatively new. They're not super brand new. Like, oh gosh, these things were just figured out today. But they're still people are still learning to do them. And James actually taking a sidetrack there to get the blue mail.
Oh, and a bottle of blue potion.
Come in handy.
Yes, and this is where the big time save or the time loss can happen here. 4 hearts, green mail, cold stare.
He's not gonna have magic either because he used up all of it to break the ice.
Oh, the pups got away
He's
from
got
him.
this. He's got the sword though. He's got the gold sword. That's gonna make this a little bit easier.
All right,
nice
down it
execute.
goes. 58-10 for James's entry, so he's about a minute and a half behind, I'd say. Or at least
I
in
think
this
it's
case, we
actually
can just
closer.
safely say he's a full dungeon behind at this point.
Yeah, full dungeon behind, about 2 minutes. That's roughly what we have here. About 2 minutes, maybe 2:15. So still not definitely not over. That can all be made up execution wise here, especially going through Gauntlet. Depending on how Yoho does everything. But
Yeah, we didn't call it, but both runners are in go mode.
Yep. And we were wondering. This is one of the beautiful things about the spoiler log letting tournament letting the runners be in here. We had a direct answer from Yoho on getting the mail. It was just no. Someone in chat asked the question, and Yoho was able to answer right away. That is efficiency for you.
He certainly had time to do it during the Crystal Cache cutscene as well.
Yes.
James is opting to do the icebreaker now.
Yep, and we are seeing kind of James inch that right over, pushes himself through the wall, and first try as well. Nicely done.
Only in Swirl Log can you get a right answer from the runners during a race.
Indeed.
There's a heart piece there, and unfortunately the fairy trolling Yoho a little bit. Cannot get the heal from it.
Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and bypass it for now. Now chat knows that they're listening and they're watching the chat, so they're just like asking questions like, "You guys gonna get the silvers now?" See if they can get a response, but maybe keeping that one a little bit close to the chest at this point, just because I suspect if they're gonna get the silvers, they may try and do it very, very late in the race.
This is Crystal Dungeon 7 here, and we'll be seeing the final capture here in a moment.
Yep.
You know what I'm alluding to. Just wait a little bit, yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yep.
Silvers are currently MIA. Neither runner has opted to go fetch them. We're not going to divulge that information just yet. But the first bow we found was on the pyramid.
Yes. And we're getting the beep game here. Yoho getting to make use of the cape there.
The
Better see.
Aura.
Interesting. And got
I
a
don't
death
think-
warp. Yep.
Yeah, Death Warp here. I think Yoho just noted that this room had the big key and just opened both chests.
Maybe. Maybe
It's
just
a little
really
late
likes.
this book.
Well, maybe just wants a good read.
Alright, James is now done with Cold Stare.
Yes, indeed. So for those wondering about the time, the actual seed time here, taking out the 15-minute study period, we're at about 47 minutes. So very, very fast seed, but that is to be expected with a spoiler log tournament. There's no backtracking, really. Not much backtracking and little to no digging around for items. You kind of know where you need to go.
It's going to be a sub-hour seed. There's no question about it.
Yeah, not going to be a sub 50. I had one of those on an earlier weak, but yeah, not going to be sub 50 this time. Could still definitely be sub power. That's absolutely within the realm of possibility here. Oh. Meanwhile, James is heading on up to go Turtle Rock as well. And so, for those also playing at home, wondering, are we going to play the big key guessing game? I don't think we play it for the spoiler
we
log
are,
tournament.
but it's gonna be my twist that I usually like to play.
Right.
So
Right.
look forward to that, folks.
Great.
Get out for the spoiler log races.
Indeed. I was gonna say we already know what the number is because we talked about this earlier too. So in our pre-match stuff, we kind of talked about where it was. So we know the number. You guys don't. We're not telling you.
The number doesn't really matter because
No, it's location really. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also know that. But anyways, Yoho gonna go ahead and bypass the big chest. Don't even go outside. You don't have to because you're in go mode. You don't need no stinking shields. You don't need to go to laser bridge for anything. Probably.
Well, not on this seed.
Definitely.
Oh no! Wait,
Maybe,
we do.
Oh wait, yeah, maybe you do because there's probably a key there. I just noticed that there was just one key up there, and I was like doing the math in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, wait a minute, he's gonna have to go on laser bridge. But for Yoho, a positive is you know what chest you already have to go to. You don't have to fish around for which chest has the key in it. You know which one's in it. It's in. Meanwhile, James can be getting that big key in just a moment.
That's the second chest right there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ooh,
nothing for the Sank Heart.
that I
That's a
think
good spot for it.
Yeah, I think Yoho had written that one down, and that's a good call. Right before we're getting a nice free heal, right before you go into the Trinex fight.
Focusing on that cane dash. I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but the invincibility from landing on the blocks made it so that Yoho did not get hit by the pokey.
I think the answer is it was unintentionally intentional. So why not?
Oh, going
And
for
of
the
course,
zero
since
cycle?
we have going for the zero cycle.
No,
That's
didn't
silver.
Didn't menuing fast enough.
Darn. That would have been cool, but yeah, having that silver gold sword means you can absolutely go for the zero cycle here. And almost had it. We'll see if James is able to pick it up. His Trinex is about to be
1, 2, 3. There we go. All right, folks.
You know what time it is.
Yes, indeed.
Piece of heart. And ladies and gentlemen, with that 7 crystal capture, we have a game we'd like to play. We have 22 chests in the basement of Ganon's Tower, only one of which is going to have the big key, but the runners know which chest it is, so instead of giving us a number, give us the specific chest location where you think the big key is today. If there's multiple, tell us which of the 4 chests in a room, because there are a few rooms that have multiple chests.
Yes. So saying Dark Magician's room is kind of cheating because there's 4 chances in there. And of course, we're going to abstain from this because we know exactly where Yoho is going.
Yep. We do. Alright, we're going to close the guesses off right now. And we're going to start with Hope Room here.
Oh boy. Is it right away?
It's a heart.
That's a heart.
That's a key.
Small key.
We're going right. Oh no.
Well,
I think we don't. I think our viewers know where it is now.
Yep. I think everybody knows exactly where it is now. So, We'll give it a few more seconds here. Give ourselves a little bit of a coffee break. Now, this is a fun little glitch for those who've never seen this before. Basically, if you have the Magic Cape in the 1.0 version of the Japanese Link to the Past game, you can walk up to a wall, turn the cape on, grab the wall, and it will just not drain your magic at all.
I like how someone says that this is where the silvers are.
Really,
But in
really,
actuality,
John
no,
boy.
this is... Oh, we got a bunny.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Give me a moment because I'm not used to that darkness.
Hey.
But yeah, there's a
There
big
it
key
is.
poke. It was a tile room seed. So both tile rooms were required. This was an Aghanim seed. The only way this could have been worse if it was a ped seed on top of this.
Oh. Or a chain seed, a fetch quest seed that turned into ped for something. Or ped that led to fetch quest would be pretty bad too. But yeah, congrats R. Lily being the first one to guess tile room. Also, tip of the hat to Blackajack, who also said tile room. I think
Said tile room
Soccerman,
as well.
yeah, Soccerman 1214 also said tile room. So well done.
I also want to point out this guess here because this is actually kind of funny. The room with the two fire bars had the Dark Magician. Yeah, that's the map room. We also just call that twin fire bar room as well.
Yes. Meanwhile, Yoho taking care of business, getting up the tower. Oh, gonna hit that crystal switch again. I accidentally walked over it twice and shut the door.
Alright, so James is now down with Trinex. Gonna be entering Ganon's Tower shortly as well.
Yep. 109.20 for Yoho, heading up the fourth floor and the start of the gauntlet. And this is an area where James can certainly make up some time here, depending on how Yoho goes through gauntlet. If there's a little bit of trouble, if something gives him a little bit of a headache, you know, there's time to be made up here. There's time to be lost and gained. Or if Yoho just aces this, then there's basically not a lot of time left to be gained. Yep.
There is no healing safety until for the next two rooms here.
Right, gotta be careful. Gotta watch those BMOs.
James is going to go over here to the ether tablet. What was inside this? A heart container. Now, Yoho took the healer, but this also desynced the molder, so they're gonna spawn immediately. Makes it harder to get a one cycle.
It is
Two down though, and the third one right
Mhm.
there.
That is sometimes intentional. That's an old trick that I saw. We used to see Willard use that all the time to get them all synced up like that.
And you know what, yeah, Chad? Go ahead and guess where the silver arrows are. We're not gonna mention it right away
Right,
because our runners may still go get them after Ganon's Tower, for all we know.
right.
But
Right.
once Ganon drops his hand, we'll let you guys know where it is. Because at that point, the race is way too close that going for the silver arrows at that point I don't think will matter.
Well, yeah, we could even maybe hold off until a little bit later, just to make sure because you know they are able to pay attention here.
Yeah.
I mean they know where it's
They're-
at. But
They're both
at
here
the
and they
same
both
time-
know how far ahead and behind they are respectively.
And up to the 6th floor here, Yoho doing a very nice job getting through Gauntlet. Super nice. Gonna have to pick up another key though, and we'll get that off the Helmosaurus.
Like how someone is reading into us and thinking it is too far away.
All depends on your routing. Nothing is too far away if you route it right.
Exactly.
He's gonna pick up some magic as well.
Alright, big key now for James.
Meanwhile, Moldorm 2 fight here for Yoho.
Oh, nice strat!
That was nice, and he's got the hook. And you know what that lets him do? Keep the hook shot out, so they can hook shot straight across.
And there's some ammunition for the quiver here.
Yeah. Not gonna be super helpful. I saw some debate in chat that Moldorm 2, maybe the silver arrows are there. Well, there were some arrows, but they weren't the silvers. Meanwhile, James working on getting those mimics taken care of on the third
and
floor.
If there's any time save James can make, it's up the gauntlet ascent. Because of the ether medallion he picked up way earlier. That's a nice triple there from Yoho, though.
Yes, indeed.
Only a single there. But yeah, James can opt to kill the Stalfos on the way up the climb with ether. Got a 0 there, unfortunately. Good pattern here, could easily get a double.
Oh,
Unfortunately, knocks the wizard in the wall, which prevents the magic from being shot. Oh, and one of those hits actually didn't count, so the first hit was actually a double. Not a triple. And rarely do you see that happen. Nearly dies here, but that is Aga2 down. It is now time for Yoho to fight the pig.
Yes, indeed.
Now, Yoho is on 1 heart. So, if Yoho's going to go and heal, this would be an ideal time to do so.
Yep.
Nope, going straight into the fight.
Start your day with a
so
delicious, smiling, whole grain breakfast created for your incredible insides. Oh, thank you, Ganon.
So, 6 slash to the face here. Their first 2 phases are the try and throw and the fire shield. We're seeing the second phase now.
Yep, it's going to be a quick 2 phases here. It's already got that second one figured out. It's got to avoid the fire bats.
Oh, does not evade the fire bat.
No.
So unfortunately, because that is the first instance of Ganon, that means it's going to now be at the mercy of the RNG here. Yoho's going to have a different pattern than James when James first reaches there.
Yep, so we'll see a very quick first 2 phases here. And then
Get to
it
phase
may
3,
get
which
interesting.
we were beginning, right? It was Yoho got hit.
Yep.
In which Yoho will need to hit Ganon 4 times after he stops teleporting around the room. He can fake you out, and that's where the main RNG of the fight comes from, which we standardize for fairness, but that doesn't matter anymore because Yoho died.
Yep. So is Yoho going to get the warps? Uh-oh.
But anyway,
Starting to look
after
like maybe.
we get done with phase 3 here, or in which all the 4 tiles break away, we get the hint for the silver arrows, and then begins the darkness technique. Yoho will have to keep the torches lit, and because he doesn't have the silver arrows, he'll have to let loose spin attacks as Ganon teleports away. And there's the hint, folks. It's in the dark world. Where do you think it is?
Yes, indeed.
Alright, gets the torch lit. It's important. Now, you might be able to see Ganon's hands raise up just briefly before he begins teleporting away. That is a 2-frame window, and that is pretty much when you need to release your spin attack in order to hit Ganon before a hit here in a silverless fight.
Ooh.
Otherwise, if you're too early, you get
Freeze,
something like that. If you're too late, you miss the window. Slashes do work on this phase, but because it is such a very tight window, only a couple of frames, it's more ideal to use spin attacks because the hitbox is a lot longer in terms of duration.
Meanwhile, James is taking care of Moldorm too. Oh!
And ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in chat for This Is Not Yoho, who will go up 1 and 2.
It's going to go up to 2 and 2, actually.
Yeah, 2 and 2, my mistake.
Yep.
And
Yes,
ladies and
GGs
gentlemen, that get your GGs in chat as This Is Not Yoho crosses the finish line in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, 38 seconds. This does include the study period time, so his actual time is 1 hour, 1 minute, 38 seconds, an excellent time. Not quite a sub 2, or a sub 1 rather. Misspoke there. It's late. But a great time nonetheless for a square log seed.
Meanwhile, James is taking care of Aga 2. Yoho's going to go to 2 and 2. Be very, very happy probably to see that. Very, very good race throughout though. As James is going to be wrapping up here.
Aghanim.
Yep.
and will be entering the fight himself. Now, the question is, will James go for the silver arrows, or will we have to reveal them?
Yep. Let's see here. Let's see what James does. I'm curious.
James enters the fight. So, folks, I think it's safe to divulge here where the silver arrows are. They are in Darkhold, as we saw. Specifically, they were in the hammer pegs.
Yep, that's why we were kind of. That's why we kind of thought maybe if it was, something you wanted to do, you could go do it. It's not impossible to get to that location, but
yeah. And like I alluded to earlier, or a little bit of foreshadowing, they could have, because of the way the seed was played out, in terms of required progression, they could have just went over to hammer pegs, did a save warp, they were on the pyramid with the hole there, and they could have gone and fought Ganon that way. So it would have been that much of a detour. Just a mirror, flute to 3, go into the Village of Outcast portal, go get the silvers, save warp, and you're back up in the pyramid. I'd say maybe a 2-minute. Would you say about a 2-minute detour?
I think about 2 minutes is fine. That's probably a good. I think that's probably a good estimate.
Actually, with the silvers, you only save maybe 90 seconds at most. So, yeah, I can understand why neither runner went for them now that I think about it that way. It's not really a time save in that regard.
Probably. It's kind of like it's one of those things where it's your choice. Up to whatever you want to do, but whatever you're most comfortable with to get you through the end.
It looks like Yoho is either choosing not to join us or will be joining us after James finishes, which either way is valid. Anyway, folks, that is GG's for JamesFnX, who will go down to 1 and 3. And unfortunately, I do know that due to the way we only have 8 spots here, and unfortunately, 3 losses is not going to make the cut. So James will not be able to advance into the out of Swiss at this point. But GG's to him all the same. He will be continuing to play the remaining 3 games of his season, or his Swiss.
By the way, I was going to mention James's official SRL time is 1:20, an hour 20 minutes and 4 seconds. So that's a seed time of 1 hour 5 minutes and 4 seconds. So it was about a 3.5 minute, about a 3.5 minute run there. Different.
All right. And we are now joined by, I believe it is, This Is Not Yoho. GG's.
No Yoho yet. This is JamesFnX.
Ah, okay. I made my mistake. But yeah, GG's you. A good performance here, and unfortunately, like I said, this isn't not going to prevent you from advancing into the top 8 of the tournament.
I was out of the top 8 already. 1, 5, and 2 will get. Top 8 wasn't really my concern. So.
I wasn't aware of the finer details of that. I just knew that 5-2 was the extreme cutoff point.
Yeah, this is run the same way a lot of Magic the Gathering tournaments are, and typically the X2 that's going to make it in is someone that loses probably 2 out of the last 3 rounds.
Okay. But yeah, a strong effort from you all the same. Did get a few safeties. I think the major point here, though, was the unfortunate death in Thieves Town.
Yeah, that just. I mean, there are a couple deaths there. There was one where I just walked into a red guard I couldn't see, and then I think there's one other death in there too that was pretty terrible. The grasshopper I kind of just walked to. I was actually looking to see if there was something I missed in there and just walked into it.
It looks like Yoho's. I don't know how, but apparently the
link to the call expired, so he cannot join us up in the booth. Oh no!
So who's the
But
real winner
GG's
now?
to you as well, Yoho. Great racing. Congratulations on your win all the same. I know you're in chat listening to us.
Yeah, the Thieves Town was a giant cluster, and I misread Skull Woods and ended up getting a key I didn't need to, just to avoid. I was trying to avoid getting having to save and quit out of there, getting key locked, trying to get the hammer, but I misread the spoiler, and there was one more key in that area than I thought there was. Rest of it all went pretty well. I think I had a better route than Yoho, going Hera first instead of Swamp.
We were wondering about that, if there was going to be some kind of efficiency on choosing one route or the other. I think it just was kind of a situation where those deaths that you had made it a little bit of a wash, more or less. But it was actually pretty close there at the beginning as well. So
yeah, the deaths, and then me not trusting myself to get Hera Pot done on 5 hearts, and then just totally throwing up on myself trying to do Diver Down. That was a lot of the time, and then by the time that came around, I figured that my best chance to win the race was Yoho dying. So I wanted to do what I could to not die. So I went and grabbed a potion, and I went and got the blue mail, just to, if Yoho happened to die late in the Ganon fight, I'd have some chance to make up time there. With Big Key where it was in Ganon's Tower, I knew it was really the only place I was going to make up time.
Now, speaking of time, I don't want to call you out on either one of you out on this, but the timer situation here was kind of a mess.
Yeah, it was. My timer would have been fine, except I instinctively hit my start timer button when the countdown in chat happened to go start racing, which broke it. And so that was...
Yeah.
I think that's certainly was a good race between you two.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Now, there is a question I do want to ask you, James, and that is the Ether Medallion. Did you pick that up for a faster gauntlet climb later on, or was that just you saw a medallion, you're like, oh, I need this?
Muscle memory going through Kakariko, honestly. I didn't need the Ether. And just once I grabbed it, like, I grabbed this. This was bad, but it didn't really cost me that much time. I was having to buy bombs anyways, so.
Yeah. And yeah, that's another thing that we never even mentioned, is that muscle memory can trip you up a little bit here because you're used to just going through Kakariko the normal way, and then you're just in a full-on autopilot. It can happen sometimes in which autopilot kind of is something you don't want to do. In fact, most of the time it's not in spoiler log.
Yeah, especially with how loaded like everywhere else in Kakariko was.
Yeah,
like I grabbed
Kakariko
almost every
was
chest out of every other location there had something other than chicken. Ether isn't the worst thing in the world. It could have bailed me out of a situation if I needed it to. That didn't really working out the way for that. But the only other thing that was like totally useless was Bottle Merchant.
Yeah, and really, Kakariko was the ideal start in this, which we had 400 rubies right out of the gate, which pretty much covered all expenses in the seed. It had the 3 bombs, all of that in Blind's house, nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a dream Kakariko for the start. Like, I was going through the spoiler and in the review period, and like, all right, what do I need to do? I figured out that it was an Aga seed, and then I figured out, well, okay, what do I need to do before Aga? And like, turns out not a lot. Turns out you just need to go to Kakariko and just need to go to Saraslo's hut, and that's it.
Yeah. The only unfortunate thing here is just how choked the seed was at the beginning. You had all those good items, but then it just turned into being Aga seed.
And it would have been a really frustrating seed to play casually, I think, for that reason. But
I mean, I mean, I'm just gonna not beat around the bush here. I think this would have been a terrible GC to play without a spoiler log, because this was not only a seed in which Aga was required, it was also a seed in which both tile rooms were required.
Yep. Yeah, both our rows required. Yeah, you would casual run your full clearing Ganon's Tower for sure. So, and you're likely still not getting the silvers out of it with where they're at, because very little was in the overworld. You had really no reason to go back to Village Outcast area even if you're playing this casually. So yeah, this would have been a mess to play just in a race or whatever. But in a spoiler log seed, it's especially with stun prize being full magic, like it was having that choke point wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. The only time I could ever see you getting silver arrows in this seed was what I mentioned earlier. You just get them before you go fight Ganon.
If it was close, I was going to.
Yeah.
Especially with having the Hyrule Castle teleport. It's not that long to go get them. It's probably like 25-30 seconds, and it'll save you a minute. But race is over before I got there, so.
Well, it wasn't even that. It's because they were in Dark World and because you had Aghanim and the Mirror, you could have just save warped after getting them, and you would have been right back there ready to go.
Yep.
And really getting there is just a simple matter of fluting the 3 Village of Outcasts and then go get them.
Yeah, it would have been... if this race had been closer, I was almost certainly going to grab them.
Yeah.
Just to give one other thing that I wouldn't die on.
Yeah,
Well,
I noticed. I did notice that he went and picked up a couple more safeties, obviously throughout the race, and I don't think that actually hurt as much as some people might have thought. I think it was good to have some of those safeties because made some of the later fights a little bit less tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting the potion was the slow one, and the blue mail was kind of slow too. But I saw that Yoho died in Turok and died again in the Ganon fight. So that was... I chose to grab the one on Ether Medallion as opposed to going Laser Bridge and just never deal with Laser Bridge. And then I routed out my pieces of heart perfectly, so...
So it looks like Yoho just straight up forgot to pick up heart containers. His death in Turtle Rock was intentional, and Ganon, he just got cornered there. And he all mentioned that in chat here for those watching on the YouTube side of things. So yeah, intentional death in GT, that I can see that. Or not Turtle Rock. And also Yoho opting to pick up the cape as well, which was in the secret passage chest just before Aga, which let him do the tile room skip in GT, which isn't really a time save, but it is a convenience.
Yeah, I'm fine doing the tile room without safeties. There was one place where I might have wanted the cape. I might have wanted the cape for the blind fight, but I got through it. So that's really the only place where I regretted not grabbing the cape.
So I do have one other thing to ask, and that this is related to the fact that we know you're both watching. Did you happen to see Yoho's hair tile room?
No, I didn't.
He managed to somehow get super speed and it said carrying a pot, dodging all the tiles. It was actually quite humorous.
Nice, must be.
I didn't even know it was possible to get speed there. But yeah, GG James, you were, of course, like you mentioned, you're not eligible to advance into the top 8 for out of Swiss, but you're still having fun, and that's what matters. Yoho, you are going 2-2. Probably in a similar situation to you, James. Probably not likely to make it. But hey, you're still having fun. That's what matters. GG's to both of you. Once again, folks, this is not Yoho, our winner of this race, JamesFnX, coming in a second, but still fairly good time all the same. Make sure to give both our runners here a follow in chat. They put on an excellent race for us tonight. And of course, if you want to catch more racing action, let me go ahead and pull up the schedule here for you. Coming up, Our next scheduled races are quite early, in fact. We don't know when we're gonna actually get these on the air, but there's just a lot of races from 1:45 all the way into the 10:45. We'll hopefully get some of these free stream for you. There's been a lot of races here as this list goes on. A lot of people taking part in this spoiler tournament. Way too many names to list. So yeah, just stay tuned for those. But of course, make sure to also follow SpeedGaming 236 so you don't miss any racing action, not just the spoiler tournament. Make sure, of course, to also follow Nihon Tiger, our tracker, who I have to look at the name, Adalor, and of course you can follow me as well. I have been Wolf0370, and from all of us here at the Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Tournament, we shall see you all next time, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a good night, everyone.
Absolutely. Remember, someone out there loves you, and we love you too. Take care of yourselves, everybody. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.